Good morning, friends. Nice to be here. Great that you all were able to make it. So today I'm going to talk about a couple of things that we find to be really exciting, and I'm going to be sharing also some new things that we are doing. Either we have done and launched them just now, or we are launching shortly in the beginning of 26. So first, to get to, let's say, to the point, why do we exist, why this company exists? We exist here to power the makers of a zero-carbon future. That's you guys, right? We don't make anything. We make software. That's the end of it, right? So if you're successful in decarbonizing, our work has a purpose. If you're not, then it's like just waste of energy, pretty much, literally and figuratively. So, I mean, for us, it's really important that you succeed. And we had this kind of parent event in our school where both of our kids go about a week ago, and it's a 1,000-student school, and I was really impressed by the way the teachers and the headmaster and all these support staff were talking about how they work with the kids. I was thinking like, wow, these people really care about my kids, which is kind of pretty cool. Parents usually like their kids. I'm no exception in that regard. So, and I was thinking, this is really cool, and you know, I mean, then I realized that actually that's pretty much what we try to do as well. You're not our kids, obviously. You're our customers. But it really matters for us that you succeed. So these are our company values, like care for customers, colleagues, and the planet, number 1. Clear, direct, respectful, and finally get it done, right? So these are the things we try to do and we try to live by. And this is really important because we try to live according to this. If you ever think we don't, you know, just flag it, right? I mean, I'm not happy with this. You didn't do this properly, and we'll try to see that, right? That's why we have the staff here. We will help you with whatever you need in any possible discipline you can have. I think we have everybody except engineering here, and engineering problems you probably wouldn't be able to articulate in the engineering way anyway. I mean software engineering, not AEC engineering. So, so software as a service. So we are a service company. We are powering you through the software and the service. And we have here, who do we have? I mean, well, anyway, let's say half a dozen people from different service roles. In the shop, we have about 80 people in different service roles, support, consulting, whatever you want. We have 25 people generating LCA data, integrating LCA data. If you need something from us, just tell us what you want, right? That's what we are trying to do here, so that we get the service delivered for you. This is a photo. I mean, obviously you can see we still have a bit of room in the venue, so for future years. But this is a photo of our company event we had together with Simopro in September. So that's really important for us. So then Andrew was talking about the market projections for the UK. So I'm not going to be talking about political landscape in great length, but anyway, political agreements can be really powerful. So even though we see that there are struggles in the way the multi-party politics work today, before the Paris Agreement was entered into, the world was heading to 4.5 degrees warming, right? 4.5. It means collapse. Agriculture collapses. Billions of people die. Just literally, like there's no qualification you need to add to that. So then, for a time, we thought that, yeah, great, everybody will do their part, except they didn't. So, too bad. So now we are heading towards 3 degrees. So we are still way better off thanks to the political agreements that we are not completely able to enforce. But obviously, it's hard. And even though we think probably in this room that this is really important, we still get just 1 vote each, right? So use those votes, right? I mean, obviously, as a first thing. But it's not predictable. We can't bank on it. It can change, and we don't know what happens. So that's why our model is different. We don't try to work with what we cannot control and what we cannot influence. We work with what's going to make your business. Oh, where do I need to point this? Great. super. So we are trying to make sure that this is a business for you. Because somebody in your company, there's going to be somebody who wants to make money. Who that person is and what's their name and what's their title, doesn't matter. There's going to be somebody who wants to make money. We are trying to make sure that whenever you work with sustainability, you can do so at a profit. Because that's the most durable, most scalable. There's no limit to scaling as long as you can do it at a profit. And that's why we are always trying to find a way, how can you make a business case for sustainability and how can you deliver something more that you couldn't have done either by differentiating so that you can grow your business or you can win more bids or you can otherwise get a favorable treatment. You can reduce the risks that you would have to either insure against or that would be jeopardizing some parts of your business. Or lastly, by obviously reducing your costs. And we need to fundamentally get to the point where if we have, okay, this is now a blue duck, doesn't matter, but let's say if it was a green duck. So we need to get to the point in the market where all the other boxes are green ducks and there's just one black dirty duck left who nobody wants to, the ugly duckling, literally, yeah. There you go. Where everybody understands the risks and where we get the costs to a point where all the work we do is achievable at the level that the mass market wants to pay. And that's what we are working for, and we're going to be talking a lot about these revenue drivers because to scale, we need to find a way always to make the business case. And fundamentally, all the polluters, they have to either modernize or they have to go bust. There's no other way. And obviously, we want that you are the ones who are growing. And it wouldn't be too bad if you put some of the polluters out of business in the process. So if they are your competitors, you probably have a natural interest in doing so. If they are in the supply chains you work with, you can just set thresholds so that you don't allow them to get supply in your supply chain anymore. And that way they either have to choose not to supply your business anymore or they have to invest in modernizing. It's very simple. Because if these things keep happening and we are the one green duck in the box, it's not enough. It's not doing having the impact it should. So, when I said our goal is to power, or our mission is to power the makers of a zero carbon future, we also have a target because we like numbers. We are this kind of numbers-oriented company, and our target is 1 million people. So our goal is to power 1 million people to work with one-click LCA. Well, one-click LCA, CMOPro, any product we have, and that by 35. So we still have a bit of time to go, but not infinitely so. So we need to all accelerate, and we need to bring people on board, and we need to scale. And CMOPro, how many of you knew about CMOPro before today? Anybody, who's used CMOPro? Okay, great, thanks. So, we acquired CMOPro earlier in this year, and we have a couple of reasons to do that. One of them is that doing inventory-based lifecycle assessment software where you can analyze what's underlying everything really, is a different problem and different set of skills. But the other problem is that we have a lot of supply chains that we can't touch. So we are historically AEC, we are manufacturing. CMOPro, on the other hand, is generic, so it's used in every possible sector in the world. And what we wanted to do by working together is we want to connect all of the science, and we want to connect all of the data and all of the transparency in the supply chain from CMOPro into one-click LCA platform, and use CMOPro to go deeper and one-click LCA platform to go faster. So this way, in your business, when you have, let's say, a specific part of supply chain where you need to work on something really special, let's say you're a specialty chemical supplier who's not willing to disclose you certain things, you can, get CMOPro and you can model your technology framework, like what kind of technology they are using, and understand what they're probably doing, even if they wouldn't tell you, right? And then you can understand what does it mean and what kind of solutions you could have to work with that supplier on decarbonizing that supply. And obviously, with one-click LCA platform, we are then more about scaling, how fast you can do things, and how can you automate things. So SimaPro is turning 35 years as of today. So we didn't bring a cake, but we have croissants and a couple of other things. So it's the world's most established LCA practitioner software. So there are thousands and thousands of PhDs and other scientific papers written on back of data validated by SimaPro. And the unfortunate truth is that it looks like that. I mean, I'm a software engineer. I mean, come on. So, I mean, yeah, no, that's fine. It gets the job done better than any other software. But if you like SaaS, there's music to go with this. There's a chance that you will like the cloud-based SimaPro, which we are rolling out in 2026 better. And the cloud-based SimaPro has the same engine, has the same transparency, has the same rigor, has the same data sets. But it's just easier to use, it's faster, you don't have to install it anywhere, and it has less than 10,000 buttons. So you can, do the work that you really need to be doing. And if you have an LCA scientist in your team or people like that, they can still use the full-fledged SimaPro craft. But this allows your team to work at scale without extensive, well, I mean, you still need to understand LCA, right? You need to get some training, but you don't need to get week-long training. And you can zoom into every level, every inventory, every elementary flow that's being used in making your material. And what's more, in this product, we can deploy standard templates. They are called configurable models in SimaPro. So you can just pick from a library of pre-made templates instead of starting from scratch every time. Because it's not a desktop product, we can update this library of templates in real time. This product is going to go to general availability in early 2026. So we don't have the exact date yet, but very likely in Q1, possibly in early Q1. So the product is already out, but we have still supporting materials and other things to do. So we think that together we are stronger, we are also better, we are allowing you to do more. In case you are a service business, a consulting company or something like that, you can definitely serve many more industries. In case you are an industrial company, you can go deeper. And obviously, combining the two, you can go deeper and faster. Together, One-Click LCA and SimaPro, we are the world's largest LCA software company in any industry. We have quite significant resources that we can put to your service. So we have these 80 people in service functions. We have over 100 people in R&D, and about, I think, over 10 million euros R&D budget, also over 10 million quid, I think, and over 5,000 customers in so many countries. And in addition to serving the AEC supply chain, the construction product manufacturing chain, we serve chemicals, consumer goods, general purpose engineering companies on their sustainability challenges. And the G2 reviews were mentioned, so obviously they are important for us, and we try to be worth your confidence every day. And so we keep doing the same things as we have done before. We are still about sustainability data. We are about sustainability results. We are delivering you fundamentally LCAs, EPDs, greenhouse gas accounting data, whatever you need. There's several different acronyms you can find here in case you are interested in them. And we do have biodiversity, circularity, and microclimate tools as well. And that's our bread and butter, and that's probably your bread and butter in case you're in a service business, so sustainability consulting business. And the second thing we have been working on a lot is connecting with your customers, so reaching customers with your data, using that data to grow your business. But also increasingly, we're going to be investing in standardizing our supply chain engagement. So supply chain obviously is where much of the impacts are arising. And the more structurally we can engage with your suppliers and make sure you get as high quality data as possible from your suppliers, the better off we are going to be, and the better quality you have to back up your sustainability action plan and your decarbonization plan. And this we do together. So when we work on a supply chain, we're not going to work on separately One-Click LCA supply chain solutions and SimaPro supply chain solutions. We're going to work on a single system to ingest the data, which you can then push into whichever system you need to be connecting with in the end. And on the top, you can see some of our customers. Obviously, we are very strong in construction. We are strong in construction product manufacturing, also in MEP and electronics. And then in the bottom, we have more of the companies which are, let's say, Cimapro usual suspects, so consumer goods, different kinds of engineering, chemicals, and consulting services. So these are the industries we cover. So pretty much the only industries we don't serve are the ones which are not super relevant for LCA, like finance or completely dematerialized services. And then what does this mean in practice for AEC and manufacturing industries? So in the AEC industry, the costs of an LCA process, they come from the, compiling the data, the LCA automation. So there's not much value there. There's just quality concerns. How can you do that better? How can you ensure there's no mistakes? And the value from a society point of view, of course, comes from the actual eco-design you can implement. But then if you want to get the bottom line value from that, typically you want to monetize that somehow. You need to show that you actually achieved something. You need to demonstrate compliance. You need to qualify for something. You need to be able to commercialize it as a service. And the compliance modules are the way we do that. So today across Cimapro and One-Click LCA, we have over 140 standards, regulations, characterization methods, and similar things that we support. And lastly, as LCA is scaling up, some of you may have thousands of projects on the platform. I don't know how many of you have thousands, but many probably have hundreds. So we also provide analytics tools which allow you to zoom into everything you've done on the platform and which allow you to track whether you're getting better, whether you have outliers, and whether you have actually lost opportunities to decarbonize, or whether some of your projects are potentially going off the track what you want to achieve. Then if you're on the manufacturing, so what this integrated platform approach means, well, the costs are coming from these two parts, right? Data collection and automation, about 2/3 of the cost. Verification and publishing, about 1/3 of the cost. So these are just cost drivers. So obviously making that work as automatically and as smoothly as possible with zero manual handovers is critical, and we invest a lot in automation and quality in there. And all the value comes from the people who choose your product because they believe it's better because of sustainability in this instance. And here we have launched about 2 years ago what's called still Manufacturer Pages and Materials Compass, which are tools which are used by specifiers. And what's the interesting thing there? And they will be able to tell you how many people are actually looking at your EPDs, right? And how many of them are ending up retaining them. And why this is important is because if you have 1,000 products on your portfolio or 10,000, you need to choose which ones you go with. And if you have zero feedback on what's going on, it's very hard to know that you're on the right track. This allows you to actually validate that you're investing in the right product lines and that the work you're doing is actually being valued by the market. And this ensures that you're going to be able to validate that. And secondly, obviously, you can get direct request for quote through the platform as well, so it can be serving as a lead channel for you. And especially if you consider the fact that these people want a sustainable product, you're likely going to be a preferred supplier or one of the preferred suppliers for these projects. Then a couple of highlights from the product. I'm just showing, let's say, more or less random snippets which I think you don't know about, or many of you may not know about, and which I think are really cool. So, well, these are not random snippets. This is more the bread and butter. Excuse me, so a bit of a misrepresentation there. So, RIGS version 2, that was validated a couple of months ago. I don't remember exactly when. So all that is done. You can read the notes here. And we are also working on the RIGS version 2 infrastructure validation now. I don't know when that's going to be ready, but the product team over there will know. And BREEAM 7, so we are also approved software, and we have full automation for anything you need for BREEAM 7. And I think also all the BREEAM versions which are accepting the national, like BREEAM Netherlands or whatever you have. So if you have any questions on AEC, that's the AEC stand over there in the corner. Architects. raise a hand, please. So Carbon Designer 3D used to be shoebox extrusion software, which obviously is great if you're doing student housing or you're an engineer and you don't care about design. But we figured out architects actually care about design. So Carbon Designer 3D allows you now to sketch your floor, what you call footprint basically for your mass. And it allows you to extrude it automatically. And after you extruded your mass, you can shape each and every floor to tilt the, let's say, the angles, or you can, what you call, change the egress for any floor to change the shape as you like, to get to the architectural intent of your shape and compare differences between different architectural approaches to using a mass. And this can obviously be critical even just for complying with the zoning code, because sometimes the zoning code may not allow you to make effective use of a, with boxes, right? So this is hopefully useful for understanding and working with more, let's say, more constrained zoning plans. So that's called free drawing in Carbon Designer 3D, and it works with the entire library of Carbon Designer templates, which cover probably, I don't know how many countries, but dozens of countries with national templates. Map-based search. So we have map-based search since maybe 1 year in Materials Compass, in case you use Materials Compass. So it allows you to find anything, especially things which are not really economical to transport over long distances, using a map view. And you're also going to have instant distance calculation for factory-specific datasets in one-click LCA in early 26. So obviously, if you have a generic dataset, then you need to still figure out where you're going to bring it from. But as soon as it's factory-specific dataset, we're going to be doing distance calculations automatically. IFC importer, we have that since some time, and IFC viewer we had even before. So what's new and interesting in here is that obviously if you are not a designer by profession, you probably don't have a BIM software purchased. This allows you to take IFC file, anybody's given to you, upload it to one-click LCA, and you can do the mapping visually. So you can see, even though the BIM model is not properly labeled, you can see exactly in the model where is the object you're trying to label. You can see if the volumes seem correct. For example, that allows you to understand if, let's say, steel columns, if they are solid instead of hollow, as they should be. I mean, architects would definitely not make a difference in modeling that kind of things. And that makes your work so much faster and makes it so much more scalable. And maybe consultants, the second group, who doesn't necessarily have the BIM authoring software. And then moving to urban scale. So far we talked about building scale things. Now moving to urban scale. So let's look at this King's Place, for example, or, well, this example is actually from southern Finland, so not exactly King's Place. Very good. So, let's suppose we have a site and we have a certain right to construct and we have certain zoning rules, and we don't know what would be the best way to go about it. So you can delimit the site. You can define your typology that you're trying to build. There are some standard zoning rules, or you can copy-paste your own zoning rules here, and the AI will interpret them. And you can, of course, extrude the shapes, and you can adjust the shapes, and you can have multiple shapes. But that obviously you could do with Rhino or SketchUp. But what we are allowing you to do is we are allowing you to generate with AI shapes that would fit the zoning rules of the site, and that allow you to also identify which ones of them would be more sustainable as measured by carbon. And this interface we are also going to be integrating with microclimate for solar and wind, and going forward we're going to be integrating it with other sustainability indicators. And what that allows you to do is to do early design better. So when you think about how you want to use the site, you can do that work better. And obviously, even though we are enjoying the fresh November days here, it's not going to be forever. And maybe some of you work in Middle East or other more exposed locations. And heat stress is going to be a real challenge for urban design. Not literally every location, but most locations. So this connects with EnviMet, which is another platform we acquired in 24. And EnviMet is the world's leading microclimate simulation software. EnviMet has about 4,000 PhDs or other similar studies done on the platform. And what's the difference with EnviMet? It's not solar and wind. It's solar and wind, it's vegetation impacts, and it's human experienced temperature. So it will be able to tell you basically what it feels like for a 50-year-old man or lady or whatever to walk a certain route in a certain city. Are they going to be suffering? Are they going to be enjoying themselves? And that, of course, that has livability implications, because if the route, for example, to get to public transport is agonizing in the summer, I mean, people are not going to take public transport, or at least not go there by that route. And obviously, if you are a commercial operation trying to get people to get into your restaurant, if their trousers catch fire when they sit on your terrace, I mean, it's not going to work on the long term. So those are our offerings for the urban. And once again, many thanks for coming, and hope some of these things are interesting, and looking forward to talking to you. Cheers.